Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy, the Hip Hop Lobbyist, and today I'm going to tell you to get out your feelings. The election's over. They're not texting you. You haven't seen a political ad in probably the last 48 hours. And I completely get it, but everybody's still in their feelings. I'm going to tell you this. The government keeps moving because in every state where Donald Trump or Kamala Harris won, they've already put the leadership in place to enact whatever they need in their state. In California, Governor Gavin Newsom has already said, hey, this is going to be an attack on our energy policies and what we're doing in the state. We need to call a special session to make sure that California and Californians are protected. But guess what? California is also dealing with an $88 billion budget shortfall. So I don't even know what their priorities are in Cali, right? At the same time, all these legislatures that are dealing with abortion rights, that are dealing with black jobs, that are dealing with barber certifications, lawyer degrees, dentist certifications, whatever it could be, they're going to be passing laws. Did you know that in certain states, hair techs are giving out veneers? I didn't even know this was a thing. But when we're talking about real issues and we're talking about a strategy on how to improve the quality of black life, there needs to be less of a conversation on the results of the election and the reality of what we're walking into and living in every state. Whether you're living in Georgia, North Carolina, Alabama, Mississippi, if you're living in this auspice of where majority of black voters live or black people live, then you need to be participating after the election. This should only be the spark plug to be like, you know what, damn, for some odd reason, I thought they just didn't want Hillary. No, they didn't want a woman or a black woman in that position at all. If that's your take on what the election the results came out to be, all right, cool. Let it ignite the fire for you being more involved in this process. So as we're talking about changing the electorate, you can't just be involved every other November, every 2 to 4 years. I'll be real with you. That's the issue with this process. You're not involved after the election. You get so disenfranchised. So, you know what? My person didn't win. LeBron didn't win. Steph Curry didn't win. Kevin Durant didn't win. Like you just step out of the process and you have to realize the process keeps going. I'm going to tell you like this. When life ends and your friends step out of that home, they realize that every car, every plane, every train is still moving. Government is still moving the same way. They're setting their leadership in place for the next 2, 4, 6, 10 years while you're sitting here trying to create what could be closure from the election. I completely get it. Don't think I'm naive to the point, but I am more insightful in the legislative process to say, you know what? The election is only one step again in this process. If you're not voting, then okay, cool. You're just going to be riding the wave. You're going to be sitting at the table like, okay, whatever they give me, they gave me. Cool. It is what it is. I'll complain, but I ain't do nothing to change that. But for those 63 million people who are disappointed, those 63 million people that are disappointed, this is your time to learn how the process works. You don't realize this is happening because you're so caught up in the nonsense of what the narrative is. The narrative is, you know what? Hey, we need to still sit here and in 2 years we'll be energized. You know what? They're not waiting 2 years. They've already put the chess pieces on the board. And you're sitting here not even playing checkers. We're still playing spades, but we don't even know the kind of spades they're playing. Are they playing ace high or are they playing deuce deuce? If they playing deuce deuce and you playing ace high, you about to lose. And that's what we're doing right now. That's the simplest way I can explain it to people to understand. Like, we're playing a totally different game with the emotions. Do you understand that these Republicans don't care shit about the emotions? They may not like the rhetoric of what Donald Trump says. You know what? I get it, but I can't defend it. Same thing we said with Kamala Harris's economic plan on the grocery list. Guess what? At the end of the day, we have to realize that some people don't give a F about the narrative. They just want the policy. They're looking at the pain points. And if we're talking about the pain points of people, all right, cool. We're here. Republicans, you've taken over every state legislature. You've taken over the entire Congress. It's on you. It's on you to fix these problems. And black folks, you know what? We're going to strap up. We're going to be okay. We rolled out 400 years of slavery. Supposedly, I wasn't a slave. But we rolled out 400 years of slavery, and we're here today. So a part of that is, now that we can find a way to survive this, hopefully there's not another pandemic. Hopefully there's not another formula shortage. Hopefully there's not a lot of other things that happen from the deregulation of businesses to allow you to grow and prosper and become, self-sufficient, independent, and pull your bootstraps up like every American should and want to do. We have to understand we're in a time where we have to be involved, and it's not just the rhetoric. This is why people just don't be involved with Barack Obama anymore. It's the rhetoric. We've seen it happen, but guess what? There are a lot of brothers who came and became the Jack and Jills of their time and said, you know what? I'm going to go to D.C. I'm going to be a lobbyist. I'm going to inspire other black folks. And they've done it. Impactful, and it's great, honestly. The issue ends up being we still have a gap of people who just don't understand the process. We have people who really want to learn, but nobody wants to really open up the doors to help them. At the same time, we have people in the process who aren't working for the issues that you really believe they are. And those could be elected officials, those could be lobbyists, those could be whatever. We have people, regardless of political division, we have people in this process who just want to profit off the people. And it's not specifically any attorney, any lobbyist, any elected official, people who just don't give a shit about the process. And that's a part of the problem. If you're involved, you see it. And I'm not saying dedicate 24 hours of your life to it, 365 days. What I'm saying is, okay, you voted. Now it's time to implement. What does this look like? Because we've talked about the strategy before. How many Black Men Summit do we have to have before we realize, okay, cool, the summit's over, the voting's over, everything's over. Now, what are you going to do to be involved? Are you going to go meet with the leaders that just got appointed yesterday, 24 hours ago, over healthcare for Black women? If they're over healthcare for the entire state of wherever you live, and they're dealing with issues with abortion rights, with Black jobs, with whatever, why aren't you talking about the issues from that Black summit and taking whatever paperwork came from that conversation that was on CNN, that was on BET, that was out there saying, you know what, Black men, you need this. Black men, we have a plan. If we let the Republicans win, this is what we're going to prevent from happening. Well, guess what? The Republicans won. So what's the game plan now? We just got to complain. Oh, you know, Project 2025, Department of Education. They won. Need a game plan. You can't just listen to a nigga with a Jerry curl and ascot talking about, oh, well, this is the problem. You need to do this. You need to do that. Bro, you're not even providing a solution, bro. You're not. And it's not just complaining about the issues, not just singling out Roland Martin or anyone else. It's the fact of like, bro, we need people to be in their own silos, to push the narrative and be productive in a strategy to actually getting it done. I don't want to go to another Black Men Summit. I don't want to talk about the difference between Republican and Democrats, or I don't want to sit here and talk about the difference between Black Republicans and Black Democrats. I don't want to sit here and talk about all this other stuff because guess what? We're all Black at the end of the day. It is what it is. I've called out Black Republicans for saying, you know what, damn, you're a sellout. Like, oh, you're a sellout because I'm a Republican. No, you're a sellout because how you would let Black women get disrespected on the House floor or the Senate floor or in this process in general. And not just sexually, just in general. It's like, bruh, you're going to let these white folks talk to them any kind of way. When you lose a title, they're going to talk to you the same damn way. If not even answer your phone calls. Go ask any Black elected official what happened to them after they left office. When they don't have the title anymore. They become the regular old niggas from down the street. The politicians damn near sometimes worse than the crackheads. Right? So you see the crackheads fiending. And the crackheads are fiending for that rock. But these politicians, these former politicians, when they get out there and nobody's answering their phone calls, they just start running again. I need to be school board. I need to be assemblyman. I need to be a dog catcher, tax collector. Put me back on the ballot, please. Because they don't have nothing without the credentials of being in this position. That's it. But when you talk about the impact, they'll go get a little bit here, a little bit there, but they're not trying to educate people. You have an ego shift. A lot of the brothers don't want other brothers working with them. You know why? I need to be the freshest brother in my office. It is what it is. I need to be the alpha dog here. It is what it is. You'll have the same thing with Black female elected officials. It's the same thing. There are Black Karens in the world that are elected. It's like, you know what? I see why you got elected, but you got a dog in you. Like not dog is in, you know, disrespectful, like a dog, like the football players. Like, you about that business. You about to stand on business, 10 toes down, right? But a part of it is, okay, the people that you're bringing up and bringing along, it's not just them getting jobs. It's about, okay, what are we doing to teach the average motherfucker to be involved? Everybody, whether you voted or not, is impacted by government. And if you're passionate about it, as much as people post online, then okay, take some time to learn the actual process. Everybody's not going to be me. Everybody's going to have their own path to actually get some things done. But you have to understand that if you're just talking about voting and the impact of the election and you're not happy because it didn't turn out your way, and you don't want to talk about the strategy to implement the issues that you were voting for in the first place, then what are we even fucking talking about, bro? I don't want to hear nothing about, oh, well, here's what happened. We lost in these states. Latino men voted against her. White men voted against her. Well, you know that they put the leadership in place to put in whatever they want. So what's your answer to that? What's your strategy for that? What are you talking about regarding taking McDonald's out of our Black neighborhoods? What are you talking about providing healthier food options in our communities? I've said this before. People have heard it. What tax breaks are we providing that trickle down into our community? It can't just be gentrification. If you're seeing the fact that they're gentrifying our communities, you're investing here. Okay, cool. How do we sustain the people that are living here? How do they make sure that if they're selling their homes, that they're getting the most market value of that home? How are you going to be a part of those conversations? If the people out here are struggling paying their insurance and their mortgage and putting food on the table and providing all the stuff that's out here in the world, and they're Black and you voted for a change in that, and you understand that the landscape of that isn't what the landscape of that wasn't supported by most Americans across the board in your city, in your state, even in your own precinct that you vote in. When you realize that, cool, we got to change some of that strategy. But what is the strategy in the first place? If the strategy in the first place is just to march from one church to the Capitol building just to say, hey, it's an injustice here, fuck it. Do that without voting. But if you want an actual change and you actually voted and you're one of the 63 million people that are or you're one of the 63 million people that is upset the election didn't turn out your way, cool, do something about it. What are you going to do about your kids' education? You going to send them to the public school that they're defunding? Or are you going to say, you know what, shit, LeBron James, come open up a charter school in my neighborhood. Jalen Rose, come open up a high school in my neighborhood if we want to do it. What are black leaders talking about educating our kids? Go open up the school if they're making it more advantageous to do it. Don't talk about no damn video of some other shit about, oh, well, they've taken over this Project 2025. These are the same niggas talking about, oh, we need to take our city back. We need to take our the black dollar, Black Wall Street. Don't you see that? Okay, cool. These are the same black Republicans from Reconstruction. Cool. They're not Byron Donalds and Tim Scott or whatever these other black dudes are, but they understand that, all right, cool. If that's the empowerment we want to give, then shit, let's do it. Why force your kid to the public school when they go to college? They get options, don't they? You should have options too. Private school, public school, charter school. Where are you going to send your kids to? Make a decision on that, right? Talk about the policies on that. Like, you know, yeah, these charter schools came in, but they're not providing a good education for our kids, man. What can we do here? Well, can we provide a voucher so we can go to a private school here? It's $16,000. If we can make these vouchers like $8,000, $9,000, I know I can make up the difference with my job. I want to invest in my kids' education. Make sure that I could get the extra money to buy my kid a laptop, a tutor. If they're struggling in math or reading, I don't have to take that money out of my pocket. I can actually have the taxpayers' money and my money put together to invest in my kid. Then okay, cool, let's do that. If that's the brand of business they're going to do here in America, I'm not saying we bend the knee. I'm saying we create a strategy. How do we work with this for the next 4 to 10 years? Because right now we're only focused on the next 2. We may be focused on the next midterm. Ain't no damn midterm. After the midterm, they already got leadership lined up. Half the people that they appointed in leadership are going to be in line in leadership throughout that state for the next 10 to 15 years. So when we're talking about a new plan to take back whatever, Democrats don't have it. You see that because guess what? Most people are non-party affiliate these days, the NPAs. If you didn't know that term, the NPAs are the non-party affiliates, and they're dictating what's happening. So if we're going to get back to the message of what is impactful for Democrats, what's impactful for black people in this country right now at this point after the election, let's go get passionate about some legislation we want to change. What's the statute that you want to change in your state? We won't make progress as people politically if we only focus on voting. We care about. And if we don't elect the people that align with our views and they're in that position, okay, what's the best thing that we can do to come to some kind of comprehension, some kind of common ground on the issues we both care about? Everything's not just racism. Everything's not just Project 2025. But we need to be involved if we're going to talk about stopping this. We can't do it from the sideline. You can't just come to the Capitol and protest and make noise while a legislator is trying to negotiate how many black jobs are coming to your community, how many tech jobs are coming to your community, and all you're talking about is Black Lives Matter, whatever. But guess what? It doesn't move the needle for people who are struggling in this infrastructure right now. How many people do you know that haven't had a full fridge of groceries all year? I know a couple. I know a few. But at the end of the day, if we're not addressing the issues for those people, we're not going to be able to move anything. We don't have a strategy that we could even talk to Republicans about to change that. And I'm not saying this from someone who's just a talking head. I'm a black Democrat in Florida who's had success working in a super conservative legislature under Rick Scott, under Ron DeSantis, and still being able to deliver for black kids and families in this state. Mental health, after school reading, whatever you need. But at the end of the day, I know that there's a part of the process of being involved. If we're not involved after the election, after the simple process of voting, then we don't really give a shit. We don't care when they get gunned down in the street because you know what? Hey, Sean King gonna profit on it. We know we're gonna see Ben Crump show up and get justice for the family with not this year, the next 18 to 2 years, and we're gonna protest. And we're gonna look at the kid. We're gonna look at the police. And when they sit here and talk about some defund the police and back the blue, we're gonna be sitting here mad at you, right? That's what happens. And as that cycle continues to churn and that cycle continues to go, we got to realize, okay, if we're talking about this and we're talking about sensitivity training with police officers in these situations, what they actually have to go through, and what you have to look at in that situation. Say, okay, cool. Why did you pull your firearm? Does it make sense? Is it justified compared to other things? You think the body cam footage isn't a thing because of the protest? Yeah, that happened because of that. But the legislation to impact that, a lot of people weren't in those conversations. But they see the impact of, all right, cool. We have the body cams now. You got to make a public records request. So actually, this body cam footage isn't even for the public to see, because we don't want them to start up and stir up in our city. So we're going to keep it under wraps, because guess what? Nobody's paying attention to the conversation of what we're doing in the first place. They're focused on, okay, what's today's news? Meg Thee Stallion twerking on stage. Oh, Cardi B, they just broke up with Offset. Oh, okay, that's what they're focused on right now. Cool. We can go ahead and implement this because they're already distracted. They don't give a shit anyway, because guess what? They need to be entertained, but they're not going to be that entertained when we realize that young black lady that we killed last night as a police department, we know that this body cam footage is very damaging, but the public will never see it. And the public will never see it because after they voted, they didn't even see the inside of the Capitol. They didn't have the nerve to say, you know what? I sat online for 15 hours and I watched every damn video of Kamala Harris, her concession speech, every video, but I didn't take 6 to 8 hours to drive to my Capitol to talk to a damn legislator. That's the reality of the world we live in. You're going to complain, people are going to say it, but the brass tacks of it, the real tax of it is people just want to vote and wish it all away. They don't want to be involved. And the people that they're listening to be involved are so stuck in the media narrative that they're not even helping educate you about what's really happening in the first place. They would rather tell you, oh, this bill has been filed in this state, and it'll be impacting black people. It'll take African-American history and slavery out of schools. It's sensationalizing the issue. Because when you're talking about, well, damn, they're helping create jobs for 100,000 black nurses. They're creating certifications for 50,000 black dentists. They're opening up all these opportunities to work with black businesses. They're not talking about that news. I get it. We don't give a shit about good news. We only want the drama. But a part of that is realizing that the Housewives that you watch, the Love is Blind that you watch, the drama and the impact of those shows, politics is just as dramatic. I'm not just talking about the scandals. I'm not talking about the frauds. Politics is just as, it's there. But I'm doing a little rambling here. Those are just my thoughts. Please make sure you subscribe to the channel if you enjoy the content. I will be doing some more around the election, post-election, but also what these state legislative leaders will actually be doing that impact black folks, because a part of being involved is actually knowing what legislation is out there and how it can impact your quality of life. I appreciate you.